It's me, named Sony. Welcome back to Project TX. Today's video takes place in the actual menu screen world that I'm working on for Project TX. This is not a finished product, but it's basically a rebuild of the entire project because I wanted it to be super duper stable, and that's why there's a menu here. You can see I've sort of been working on the body system. Ignore all the copies of me, the duplicates over here. Unfortunately, their hands don't move. But other than that, everything else is a basic copy of me, an exact copy of me. And yeah, so they're basically there just for me to test, actually. So yeah, they're not actually physical objects. They're just copies of the avatar. For now, let's switch back to my view here. You should be able to see from my view. Yeah. And you'll immediately notice where the torchlight is coming from, where the big room light is coming from. This guy over here. This is just a test light for now. There'll be some more advanced looking things soon. Let's just have a look around the area. I haven't finished these bubbles actually. They're supposed to be glowing a little bit more. This is outside. That door will close. That door will close when the menu starts. So as soon as you complete the menu settings there, this door will close, and then you will have to get that one open. And that will be the menu system to get you into a level. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit crazy with stuff. But yeah, these things are really cool looking. I really like this, having these bubble tubes coming from the walls and stuff. Yeah, I don't know how much of a performance impact having glass everywhere will be. I'm going to have to test things properly. But you'll notice there's just a few random obstacles. This is not a rollable object. In fact, there's no grabs in right now. It's just a completely rebuilt version of the project. But these things are here for a reason. In fact, I actually had some tubes to crawl through. But right now, we're just going to have to rely on this metal one. And the main test of this was to make sure the body system works. Now, the first thing you'll want to see is actually the current body when it matches my actual real-world height and arm length and everything, right? So we've got a few settings here. You'll have to ignore floor offset. Floor offset it's actually an offset for the VR floor. Basically, my VR settings are 20 centimeters too high, 18 centimeters too high, well, too low off the ground. So in reality, if I touch the ground, it's actually like 20 centimeters above in my VR space. I'm floating in my VR space, right? So it's just a bit of trouble when I connect only one tracker. That's just me being lazy, right? So here we go. You can have a look at the actual body system. It all looks pretty good. And you can see when I turn, the legs eventually catch up. When I turn, there we go, they catch up. Now, what I've done with the legs, in fact, is when I turn, they don't just immediately start moving towards that rotation. In fact, as you walk, that's when they catch up. So there we go. It looks really cool. These three are actually oriented on purpose. So this one here is facing me. High five, a double high five. And then you can see here as I place my hand right in front of his face, his hand becomes, it goes right here, right? And then we've got the side view guy, which is just sort of facing that way. And then we've got the back view guy who's facing directly away. And that's it, they're literally always matching those orientations. The cool thing is they also match my height. So here we go. You get to see them as they lift off the ground. And here's the cool new stuff, which is new but also old. I basically rewrote the body structures. So as I crouch now, you'll see that the body leans quite a lot. And then the legs go a little bit crazy because I haven't finished that stuff. But when I finished it, it'll look really cool. But before it looks cool, it'll look at least as good as this. There we go. So we've got an actual crawling system, and you can see how it actually feels legit right now. And that's because it is legit. Unfortunately, my locomotion system kind of dies at this point. So when I'm at this height, I can locomote, but you'll see, I'm going to keep the analog stick pushed forward, right? And as soon as I go too low, whoop, there you go. I'm actually pushing the analog stick forward. What's happened here is my body is leaning on the floor and the locomotion system can't take it, right? It's actually not hitting ground. There's no ground detected. So instead, I kind of have to actually legitimately crawl with my hands. I'm actually pulling myself. This is something that you've seen in the past in like a much older video of mine. So there you go. Now the thing is, the actual crawling here, as I mentioned in many of my videos with Project TX, Project TX is all about having a proper body system, an actual body that performs all the collisions. So the actual collisions of the body match this body shape here. There's no fake capsule or anything like that that allows me to walk around. There is no fakery going on. Me moving around is literally the actual collisions of my body which handle collisions in the world. So here, if I walk into this object here, this is me actually colliding by the body. And you can see here my arm actually gets hit into the wall. But obviously here you can see the wall. There, if I put my hand on the wall, you can see exactly where it hits the wall. You see? See how it just about goes there? Right? It's exact to the body collisions, which also means if I crouch here, I'm actually getting pushed forward, right? So there you go. It's really, really cool. And in fact, you can actually see that from the external camera. If I just, there we go. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to switch on the torch so that I can see where you are. I actually didn't put I didn't put an actual viewing position in the game world, so I can't actually see where the camera is. I'm just kind of guessing based on this torchlight, which is following me, so that should be good. But there we go. You can actually see me walk around on this on this ball. It's really fun. Because remember, I've also got my locomotion system active, which means I actually have to run whenever this thing is moving away. But there we go. Really cool. It's really fun. So let's switch back over to me. And we can switch that torchlight off, actually. There we go. And we can see, move the ball out of the way, we can see what happens with the character model when I switch calibration systems. So here we go. The first thing you'll have a look at is the arm length. Now this is the actual length between the wrist point and the end of the shoulder. So literally where the arm itself begins. These two bones here. This bone and this bone. Right? And as I shorten that, there we go. As soon as I let go, it'll reset the actual colliders. So, boink. And you can see now I've got actual short arms. And these are still matching my controllers, even though my my wristwatch doesn't actually work properly with the system. But you can see it's still matching my controllers. So there we go. Right? It's still matching the controllers, if I can actually get the controller thing open. But you can see it's actually tiny, right? Tiny arms. You can ignore the fact that the wrist scaling doesn't work properly on these guys. These guys are I just threw them into the scene. Literally, that's it. They're very easy to match move things between avatars and the ragdoll system. It's very easy for me to match move things. That's why I spent a lot of time on that. So you can see here the actual collision of the arms are affected. Right, so this is the end of my arm now. It's actually very difficult to clamber on things when you're that short-armed. But we can, of course, go the other way around and scale it up. Now you'll notice that there's a little bit of trouble with my body system. It's actually deriving the positions wrongly, right? So it's not been designed to scale. Everything else is scaling properly except for the feet, the end point of the feet, and the actual arm calculation, the elbow calculation. It works pretty fine until about 0.6, so 60 centimeters. And there we go, it works pretty good. And you can see I'll never get to a stretch because it's actually longer than my real arm can actually get to. If I just hold the cable on the little wrist strap on the controller, you can see it actually gets to a stretch. There we go. I can swing it on my hand and get it far. There we go. Brilliant. I'll give you a quick glance as to how it looks when I turn it up to full, but it's not going to look very nice. Ugh. Yeah, things get a little bit crazy, a little bit spooky, a little bit weird. Let's lower that. This is why you keep your menu systems on your controllers, not on your physics. Although you can do that in certain cases as long as your physics are moving in a way that you can guarantee will be correct. Right, so here we go. When I lower it to my natural arm length, it just about matches perfectly, right? So it's very, very nice. But as you can see, when I turn it up, these extra long arms are actually extra long. So you can see here, I can actually collide with the ceiling there, with the top of this box. So there we go. I actually have super long arms, really awkward, weird looking. Right. I'm going a little bit crazy. So yeah, today's video is a very simple one, just me walking about and moving about and testing things. However, there's also some body height control, right? So let's go a little bit low. Let's turn the floor offset right down so that I get squished down to the floor. And then I can hit calibrate. And now it's measured my height, right? So it's actually calibrated my height with that floor offset taken account of. And we can turn the arm length down now to about 35 or 33 in this case. And there we go. Now I'm a tiny little guy. It doesn't affect my movement speed. So while I'm tiny, I feel like I'm running a little bit faster because obviously I'm running at the same speed, but moving because I'm small, right? So there we go. And of course the jumps are affected. All your movement systems are affected. Your crawling still works. The feet are a little bit off, as you can see. They don't really like repositioning, and you can see I'm actually able to lift myself. Look at that strength. 1, 2, 3. I can do some push-ups. There we go. Brilliant. So there we go. And then of course we can turn it right up and hit calibrate, and you can see where the feet get a little bit off. But there we go. It's really cool. Now we'll get that lanky look. Oh, there we go. Let me grab onto the end of the cable here, and we can have a look. Ooh. Ooh. And you can see the feet aren't positioned correctly. They're not scaling perfectly. I need to do some better measurements there and get that working. You can see the rest of the body is actually stretching. The neck stretches, even though there isn't a neck on this model. And you can see here, I'm still moving at the same speed, which means I don't look very accurate because the running speed is still the same speed as before, but I'm much taller. And being much taller is really awkward because it means you can literally walk over things, right? So these are 1 meter boxes and I'm just walking right over them, right? This is without jumping, right? Look at this. This is a 2 meter box. Step, step. And just walk over everything. There we go. 2 meter high guy. I'm very tall, right? So let's see. If I'm 1.6, I'm 1.6 when I'm negative 20 here. So we're adding 70 centimeters to my 1.6. So I'm probably about 714, so 2.3 meters right now. That's how tall I am. Because obviously this top surface would be 2, so that would be here. That would be here, and therefore I'm 2.3 meters, just 30 centimeters above the top. And of course, it still works here as well. So there we go. I'll have to get real low, because remember I've offset the ground higher, so I can't really get to the 0 point. In fact, I can actually get to the 0 point. All I have to do is lower my floor offset now without scaling my player. So if I don't press calibrate, I'm still set to 2.3 meters as a tall guy, but now it thinks I'm crouching. So there we go. Really easy. I can get into a crouch and crawl and get kicked around. There we go. Really cool. So let's get this reset to where it was. Get it nice and balanced there. Oh, get 5-1. Now this is the full arm length from that point to that point, as I mentioned before. So now you know my measurements. There we go. So there we go. Now we're back to normal, and I want to show you a little bit on the collision side. It's actually very, very, very close to perfect now. I don't think I can get it much better than that. So basically, the thickness of the collider here. This is a capsule collider on the hip. And the thickness of the capsule collider around the entire thing is exactly, what was it? It's, I think, 30 centimeters? No, 27 centimeters diameter, right? So half of that for the radius. But yeah, about 27 or 26 centimeters diameter. The problem with that is, of course, that means it can fit through a 26 centimeter gap. Completely, like perfectly fit. It would be like no gap at all. Anything larger than that, you should be able to get through if you were crawling and perfectly smoothly sliding through like a snail or like a slug. Technically, a snail wouldn't be able to fit like a... It wouldn't squirm through, right? No, it doesn't matter. Anyways, the point being, my correct size. The point being, these gaps down here. Let's get some torchlight on. So these gaps down here are actually measured correctly. So here we've got a 50 centimeter gap. Here we've got a 40 centimeter gap. Here we've got a 30 centimeter gap. As you know, the thickness of my hip is 27 centimeters, the diameter, which means fitting through that gap, well, 26 centimeters. Fitting through that gap, I have I can't close my thumb, but there we go, 4 centimeters of leeway to fit through that gap. So let's see how easy it looks for me to crawl around through these kind of places. So switch the camera on first. There we go, you should be able to see me. Hello. Oh, I'm looking a little bit off. Right, so there we go. Now you can see that as I go into a crawl, it should be, and my legs are probably not even needing to crawl properly here. It should be nice and easy, right? So there we go. Nice and easy. Hello. Nice and easy. But, of course, we can get through this second gap. It's a little bit difficult, but there we go. Not so bad. Perfect. I got through. The thing is when I go into this gap. In fact, I'm going to move the camera to that side and we'll see just how close this gap is. So there we go. We'll switch over to me. And then I'm going to lower this camera right here. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. You should be able to see me from below. Yeah, that looks really cool. So here we go. I'm going to go around the corner. And I'm going to try and get through this 30 centimeter gap now. Yeah. I have to position myself in reality as well. So I'm actually needing to move my head sideways, right? Leaning my head to the side. But I have got into the gap right now. I don't know whether you can see me. And yeah, you can see my arms are probably hitting the ground quite well. Oof. Oh, I accidentally pulled the rotation there. So basically what I'm doing, I'm holding the right analog stick down to get into crouch. And then... okay, that was claustrophobic and difficult. But there we go, right? I got through that gap. It looks even cooler when I come through this other gap. In fact, let me get you to a standing position. There we go. And I'll give you a first-person view of it in a moment as well. Now, there is a little bit of weirdness going on with the feet because they actually lift up. They lift up like this, even while the body isn't supposed to really be lifting them. And we'll see something cool as a result of that in a moment. But there we go. If I come right back through... Hello! There you go. It looks really cool. Now, there's something really cool as a result of that, which is that... so you'll have to ignore the feet for now. They're supposed to kind of lean back first, and then as your hip goes over the gap, then they'll kick out and crawl through. But for now, it's just... I just completely forgot to do that. That's all. Right, so there we go. You can, of course, jump up and jump back down. But there's something really cool about that. If you imagine, when you're moving around in VR... I'll switch you to my position here. When you're moving around in VR, there is no body tracking at all. So one of the things that we have to do to derive where the hip and the body is just base it on the head and neck structure. Now that is of course a problem because if I walk to the edge here, you can see I can get a little bit of a look over the edge. But as I move, you can see my body is trying to step over. What I've noticed is, thanks to my crawling system, if I lower my body, obviously the hip kicks out a bit to the back. But that also kicks out further as I lower my body further. So let's have a look at this from the side. Whee! So here we go. As I step here, if I step forward with my real world body, whoop, you can see I just about move right over the edge. Right? So it just thinks I'm walking. But if I crouch, I get a little bit of more of difference there, and the hip kicks out a little bit more. And then if I lower my body, you can see I get a lot of leaning. Look at this. I get so much leaning out. And then, of course, if I lift my body, I just immediately drop down. Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So let's have a look now from first-person view, and we'll have a look at this gap and how it looks when you're in first person. So here we go. This is the gap. And nice and easy, right? And then of course there's this gap. Now, this is where things get really awkward because I kind of have to lift my head underneath it, right? And then you can probably even hear me sort of struggling in reality here because I kind of have to be close to the ground in reality as well as holding my analog stick down to crouch. Oh, there we go. Roll, 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 and through. Yeah. You do not want to get stuck there because things get a little bit awkward. You can stand up in reality when you're under there. Obviously, I don't have any magic yet, and I'm not going to hold you down and crush you under the random object in reality. But what happens when you stand up is it still holds the body. Most of the VR tracking is held down, but there's still a little bit of an offset, which is something I'm going to fix very, very soon. So let me show you that. Here we go. If I kind of crawl into this gap here, and then stand up, you can see, there we go, a little bit of a gap. I can see right above my head. But this is the maximum I can get. I can't go any higher than this. And it's just because of the strength of the actual joint there. And there you go. That's everything I wanted to show you. You can see that the place is looking quite nice, and I've got plenty to do. I've got some cool stuff to do in this area. We'll go through this pipe nice and easy right now. There we go, nice and easy. And that's most likely the size of a gap. That's actually 40 centimeter gap. And that's probably the maximum size that I'm going to go with. Minimum size I'm going to go with for the game. I don't want to go crazy in terms of the main game, and then my body system needs to be able to support absolute, like the most extreme scenarios. But there we go. It is what it is. Hope you like the actual world itself. I should probably mention this is the new logo for Project TX. Hope you like that design. It's really cool. I still haven't mentioned where the name came from. I will probably talk about that very soon. It's a dumb reason that I came up to this name, and you'll understand. It's something to do with project names. Yeah, there we go. So that's Project TX as it stands. This is the new body system, and it's really, really capable. It's really cool. Let's have a quick run through the world. And there we go. It's nice and natural when I run as well. You can see here, it really looks pretty cool. Obviously, it looks a little bit off from the side view, but for the most part, it looks really cool. When I'm running, when I'm walking, very, very nice. Body system's looking really, really good. And the smoothness of the movement is just perfect now. I think it's pretty much perfect. There's still a few glitches that happen with the grounding, but beyond that, it does what I wanted it to do from the very beginning. And yeah, it's finally ready to be usable. Right? It's stable, it's steady, it doesn't break when you teleport. It doesn't break. It doesn't break. Other than, you know, the obvious offset problems. It doesn't actually like shatter into pieces and crash the engine like it normally does for me, which I never show you, by the way, because that's just dumb, right? So there's all those little bits and bats that you don't see, and all of that is cleared up, and that's the hard part to show because I can't explain. I can't really show you that. But anyways, thanks very much for watching. I'll probably see you in the next one. Let me just get the camera. There we go. You should be able to see me. So say, you turn around. Bye. Bye. Yeah, wonderful. Oh no. Was I talking that whole time from one point of view? Oh, geez, Scoob. Right, well, hopefully, I'll have a look at the video anyways. I really need to sort that problem out. Thanks anyways. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. This was a very weird video. Bye.